Assuming, oh gosh, my mic must be on already. I'll call the meeting, the March 17th meeting of the Urban Renewal Advisory Committee to order. And the first thing on the agenda is business from the audience. There's Randy and Megan. Signed up. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the one online first.
Hi friends, can anyone hear me? I can't see myself or see if I'm being heard, so.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Hello, this is Nico. I'm here representing Thrive Hood River, and I'm also a member of Coalition for Better Heights. I've been recently brought up to speed on all this. I asked Dustin to send you all a short letter that we drafted in collaboration with folks at Thrive and at Coalition for Better Heights, including Megan. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but I did want to summarize a few points. First off, if I'm able to speak critically about this at all, it's just because the folks at MIG City Council have done a great job synthesizing the whole process in these memos, and so I want to thank you for that. I also want to say that we were all quite impressed. I was impressed at the very comprehensive effort you did to engage the public in the Heights. Those surveys were really interesting to look at. I just wanted to raise your attention to a few points I've raised in the letter that I hope can be addressed, and they have to do with a few discrepancies in the different memos in the MIG analyses between October of 2021 and February of 2022. I think they're important because you did such an incredible job surveying the community for these goals, and so I just, we want to make sure that we're adhering to that work as much as possible. As we pointed to in the letter, some of the evaluation criteria that measure the adherence to certain goals seem to have changed a little bit, and consequently, the ratings of the different designs have also changed a little bit. Now, I think this is important, especially given the way that the design options are going to be presented to the community in April. This is going to happen through these color-rated designs, and our impression is that these color-rated designs might be a little more fit to shape public opinion than to engage public opinion, because of course it's hard to imagine anyone choosing anything but the greenest option, since green is good. And for that reason in particular, I think it's extra important that we make sure everyone is on board with the evaluation criteria that are used to measure the adherence to these great goals that you put so much work in consulting the community for. So, one very clear example is that the evaluation criteria in February of 2022 for goal 1 really measured how smooth traffic was and how accommodated traffic was along 12th and 13th. Whereas we were able to find out, for example, just a definition on the Institute of Transportation Engineers that define traffic calming a little differently as physical designs and measures to reduce vehicles for the accommodation of pedestrians and bikes. So since these designs, the ratings designs are going to be presented in these color ratings, we think it could be helpful to consult the different constituencies to make sure that we're all on board with this evaluation criteria. And if there is a way to present the designs and rate them in a way that would engage the community instead of shaping opinion, that would be great as well. Those are the comments I have today, and thank you very much for listening.
Okay. Next, I guess it'd be Megan. Okay. Randy, were you on the list? No. Okay. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for hearing me. I'm representing, I guess, a group of about 8 moms, and would have been a little bit more had I given them the time just to read my letter and sign on, but they're all very supportive. We all live in the Heights or work in the Heights, have children who attend May Street or the middle school and cross this project corridor 2+ times a day. I want to first commend the city and MIG, Nathan and Alex up there. The focus groups and the community surveys were like probably the best focus group I've ever been a part of. I was impressed particularly by the matchmaking of seemingly opposing viewpoints on my focus group. So I think we all know that Christy Chapman and I don't agree on very much, but us being on the same focus group allowed us to see that we have more in common than different. And I thought that was actually brilliant. Okay, focus groups, community surveys, awesome. Second, MIG did a great job distilling the community feedback and the vast amounts of historical engagement that have been done so far in the Heights. It's pretty amazing what's happened over the past 6 years, into 7 wonderful goals. And so Urban Renewal Agency meeting in October, you said that all the goals were equal except for goal 1, traffic calming, which was the most important to the community. So that's perfect. Third, MIG did a great job translating the seven goals into 3 alternatives. Fourth, the 7 goals were given evaluation criteria to analyze the design alternatives. And this is where the group of moms take pause and are very concerned. You define goal 1 of traffic calming as calm traffic and improve intersections to improve safety for people driving, walking, biking, taking transit, and supporting local business, which is very similar to the Institute for Transportation Engineers definition that Nico just mentioned. So the goal 1 evaluation criteria within the little chart that's on your letter, I highlighted those in red boxes, particularly they negatively correlate or are irrelevant to actual calming. So the ones that we contend are intersection operations, level of service, number 2, travel time from end to end, number 3, accommodating vehicle services, which is important, but not part of traffic calming. And then improving truck accessibility for intersections. So we, including these metrics in an average with an authentic metrics of traffic calming is not an honest representation of the design, especially considering you roll it up to a single color coded dot from green to red, like what Nico was mentioning. And so our ask is that these metrics measure, these particular metrics that I have highlighted in red measure through traffic, which is not a goal of the project, nor a priority in the community feedback. We want slower traffic. If through traffic has become important to someone besides the community, we suggest you pull out those metrics into a through traffic analysis. Additionally, please change the evaluation metric target speed to 20, the standard for life savings in the event of a crash. To visualize what traffic calming looks like, I mean, we all have like a 6-year-old in our life, whether it's our daughter or granddaughter or nephew, our son, just somebody you can visualize. And if you can't imagine them crossing the Heights without having heart palpitations or just being scared for their life, then traffic calming it's not successful in this. But if you can imagine them being able to walk home from school, say they have a single parent at home or they have a single parent working, then they can cross home from school by themselves and are safe. And that's best for everybody, seniors, mobility challenged, and all of us. And then like Nico mentioned, I would recommend that you do not include the dots when we do the public engagement. Just let people look at the designs, and like we all have. I just really quick, one more point. I have to give props to Pat. You couldn't see me in my kitchen. It was like October, I think the URAC meeting was, or URA meeting. you said, like I was fist bumping in the air. You said your design alternative number 3 was your favorite because, and I'm just summarizing your words, it put trucks and through traffic on 13th and people and bikes on 12th. And I was like, it's amazing how, I mean, we would agree that we probably haven't always agreed. It's amazing how a good design can bring people together. And I guess that's my bigger point. But please look at these evaluation metrics for traffic calming. It's the most important goal to get right. So thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Megan. Does anybody got any questions or follow-up for Megan? I have one comment, Megan. You're talking about through traffic, and that's the, through traffic. I'm sorry, I'm maybe not as well prepared to speak on this, but the thing is the traffic calming is very important. I drive the Heights all the time, and one of the key things is through traffic is a very important part too, because unfortunately it's the only way up and off the Heights without going through residential areas. So it's a very difficult thing, and we're dealing, as the guys, Alex and Nathan have been dealing with, we're limited with a very small amount of real estate to make some of these decisions. So I think they're doing a good job, and I think the committee is looking and taking the advice from the community very serious and trying to create a win-win thing.
Yep.
So
if I may quickly respond, if through traffic is something you definitely want to evaluate, right now it's not being properly evaluated because you're essentially, like, we're trying to find out like a metaphor for this. It's like rating a vegetarian restaurant on 1 to 10 and then hiding meat in the recipes, and people go in and they're like, I thought we were gonna get vegetarian, and like there's like meat and buried in there. And so that's what that rating feels like right now. It's not a true measurement of traffic calming or through traffic. So just separate the two out.
I guess that leads me to a question for Nathan and Alex in regards to taking a look at through traffic and traffic calming. Is that going to be a big issue, or how can that be done, Nathan?
So kind of in response to the first gentleman's comments, and kind of the reason that it felt like things switched is when we presented the design alternatives initially, we highlighted a handful of key evaluation criteria in coordination with city staff, and traffic calming was one of those. And we kind of showed that and how it rated on the design alternatives. That wasn't representing at the time goal 1. When we came back into the full evaluation and we presented kind of ratings by goal, the traffic calming is one piece that goes into goal 1. And as Megan mentioned, the traffic calming, the kind of how intersections function and kind of their safety, and the operational or sort of level of service throughput discussion all sort of go into the 1. And so that's why it may have felt like a perceived switch, but it was sort of apples to oranges and kind of what was being shown initially as a single criteria, and as a part of the full evaluation, kind of multiple things coming together. But we could definitely talk about separating the kind of operational function and showing that separately, so it doesn't feel like it's bogging down, or people can understand the two differences.
If I may follow up, thank you for the explanation, Nathan. I did see that in the appendix that goal number 1 suddenly was filled or more complete with different evaluation criteria. However, I do think with Megan that it's not that there are more criteria, that I think they're at odds with each other at times, and that's what I find a little more complicated. But thank you.
Yeah, and one of the things we did talk about with the URA previously is, should any of these evaluation criteria be weighted? And at the time, the decision was, let's not do that, and maybe it's something that needs to be revisited. But that was sort of the direction that we've kind of come to this point.
Does anybody else have any testimony from the audience? Committee, any comments? Not, I'll move on to the next item. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Got nothing?
I got nothing to add or take away.
Oh, okay, thank you, Dustin. Then we'll go on to the approval of minutes from the February 17th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Okay, Clint, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Amanda, seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, minutes have been approved. Urban Renewal Administrator. Phase 2, floor is yours, Dustin.
I think I'm standing in for the administrator, but I will MC for our team here. The purpose of this meeting and the item that we have on tonight is really starting to focus around phase 2 of the Heights. We are really starting to ramp up our some of the organization and frequently asked questions in preparation for a phase 2 workshop. This is really going to be the culmination of some of the phase 2 engagement, and where we hope on April 22nd and April 23rd to hold an in-person meeting. Not necessarily long overdue, but a long awaited in-person meeting to where we have the opportunity as a community to engage with our professional staff, engage with the URAC, and really take the opportunity to review some of the alternatives and concepts that are being developed as we move into phase 3, which is going to be the development of a preferred plan. So this is it's a really big opportunity. The document you have before you outlines some of the organization. Alex and Nathan are also here to walk through it. Really, part of this is to get your feedback and also equip you all for that engagement. You are a really important advocate here as business owners, as community members, as also, you know, well-informed parts of this committee, and having your presence there really builds in part of the community. It's also a way for us as the project team to help engage you all and help you continue that network as local businesses, as local community members, to help spread the word of your peer group, to take advantage of your experience, that lived in experience, if not technical, just real life. And really, we want to use you as conduits to the community. And you are the voice of the community, a non-technical group, but a really instrumental group to help voice those concerns and help filter that, a lot of this, what can be technical from the lens of just, again, intelligent lay people. And that's really humanizing this. We want this to not be it's not a science exercise. This is not academia. This is where we live, and this is a street and a place that we're trying to develop, and you know those voices are really important. So that's my ramp up speech here for the engineers to take over and humanize the engineering part of this. I guess you all can jump in whenever. Within your packet, you starting on page 7. Alex and Nathan have prepped a little bit of meeting structure, set up some of the ideas on how we see this going through and how can we convey some information and really make this an event for the community to enjoy and to rally around this project and really help inform it to be the best project it can be, as representative of a lot of different aspects of our community. I'm still on message, folks out there. All right, good. They haven't pulled the plug yet. So I don't know which one of you are gonna pick it up from here.
Yeah, we can kind of tag team it as needed. So from a event stand, it'll kind of maybe start with the kind of in-person kind of actual meetings and then kind of go back to kind of the planning and kind of the kind of things that happen around it. For the time that we'll be kind of calling it the true open house. What we're planning to do is set up 5 and possibly 6 stations around the armory. The individual stations will have sort of a welcome registration table, but then we'll have a series of introductory information that kind of gives a kind of project statement or kind of brief statement about the project and kind of the overall goal, provides information about the schedule and the project study area. We'll also, we're preparing sort of an infographic that kind of summarizes or captures some of the big milestones that have occurred, both during our project as well as the 2 to 4 years that have preceded our work, so people can understand all of the work that the community and the kind of urban renewal agency have done and the city have done on this project. One, we need to make sure that people understand that we know that as consultants helping the city. And we also want community members to understand that there's been a long history to this project. So that will sort of be kind of frame the introduction and background. We're also planning to kind of highlight work that was done in phase 1 and phase 2 to date. So we're kind of presenting and kind of showing project goals and the evaluation criteria, highlighting some of the key feedback from, or at least kind of number of participants and outreach efforts. And then, so that's station 1. We'll then kind of have 3 stations that cover each of the design alternatives. And so the same materials that we've been preparing and have shown for the kind of circulation diagrams and the intersection concepts. We'll have each of those kind of side by side on a large roll plot. We're thinking these are 12 feet long roll plots. And then, so it's circulation diagram, intersection concept, and then a summary of that highlights kind of the key aspects of the design alternative, as well as key evaluation criteria. So there'll be 3 separate stations for that. Something that we haven't talked about, but we've been working with city staff on is kind of thinking about streetscape character. And separate from the way space is allocated, there can be a style that is associated with the street. Materials, types of furnishings. And so we're developing what we're calling kind of mood or character boards to kind of give an idea on 3 potential different styles that might, to get feedback from the community on. So that would be the 5th station. Then a 6th station is sort of a next step and framing some kind of key questions that we're looking for feedback on. And we're thinking about doing those as dot exercises, and where people can kind of either put Post-its on or put a colored dot on in response to questions that are framed. While people are going around in person, we're planning to prepare a comment card that can be filled out while they're there. And to the extent that we can, we're trying to match this with the sort of virtual open house setting that we talked about last time. So that's sort of what we've planned for the kind of 3 to 4 hour event periods on Friday and Saturday. Other questions on any of that? Or Alex, anything that you want to?
I think, all I would add to that is, one to address Megan's comment earlier about, kind of what we show from a community standpoint, how this is organized. The goal for these boards or these roll plots is to be as clear as possible. The memos that you reviewed, or those are pretty dense, in terms of data and information. And we want to be able to, one, give people an experience so that they can get all the information they need to help provide input for each of the alternatives, but also make sure that they feel, that they don't have to be there for 5 hours. We're thinking that for a person to go in and to see everything, it's maybe a half hour to 45-minute experience. If they're getting food outside and then they want to sit in, they can certainly stay as long as they want. But we really want to make sure that people can provide good input, get the information they need, but also, not feel like the commitment is a hindrance for them to be able to actually get through all of the stations. So we're trying to organize that as best we can to make sure that it's a good use of their time. But we are really trying to make sure that, from an evaluation standpoint, that information we're showing, that we're clear in what we're showing and what we're asking. And so the comments are really germane right now, both Nico and Megan, about, just how we portray that information, and, what it is we're we're specifically showing in terms of, results of the evaluation. So we're continuing to kind of, work on those graphics now, and we'll continue to do so for the next, few weeks as we prepare for the event.
Yeah, I think my contribution on this is to reemphasize, we will also have a virtual open house. So for those who are unavailable to attend, there's still the opportunity to have a complimentary virtual presence, and give an opportunity for people who aren't able or not comfortable to attend in person by whatever causes that. But it is an opportunity for those who aren't able to attend to still participate in the process. That's going to go on simultaneously. We're going to have our communications plan also drive traffic. And I mean that by marketing traffic, not by real traffic. Calmly to the various social media sites. And I think that is, I think that's part of the power of this, is really trying to cast a pretty wide net to get a lot of voices involved, whether they're local and immediate, or whether they're far reaching, or whether they just don't have the opportunity to be there. Also, one station is going to be a kids table, which somebody much wiser than me added. Washable markers will be part of that, as not just regular markers. So
it's direct experience, Dustin.
I believe we do. This will also be at the Armory, and I think they will require a deposit. So our washable markers is really part of the hallmark of this inclusion. But in all seriousness, this is really part of the statement, is we want to have this not just be engineers and presentations and people talking at each other. We want an engagement. We want this to be an event, not just a lecture. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an important, for lack of a technical term, feel, or that we are trying to get in this. And we're hoping you have some input, and you're a part of that, you as local characters and stakeholders as well. Anything else? Anything that I really missed? Promises. So we're going to look for some people to. We're hoping that you all are there. In that, for at least some of it, we try to pick a Friday night for those who work during the day, and then a Saturday morning for those who work at night, and maybe have an opportunity for the weekend. We will be there the whole time. I think the more activity and presence that is there, the better. It just feels, again, less like a lecture. And then as again, I think last time I mentioned the hospitality arm of things. If you had the opportunity to be part of the hospitality end of it, not just having this be, again, the engineer show, having that opportunity to showcase our food and beverage and hospitality in the area, and make this, can kind of come together and commune around food and beverage. That's a pretty typical and really human thing that we do. And I think it's long been missed. So here's a great opportunity to do that with a good purpose. And I think that's how community gets built. And I think we want to be part of that agency. So I'm looking for your buy-in on that too. So
we'll need your help to be able to do that.
None of us have server license. I'm pretty sure the AIA will not allow that. So for those of you with greater experience and technical ability, we'd appreciate that. Nor do we have food handler licenses. I think, and again, this is where you all have special expertise that really we want to tap into.
Can I ask a question about there was talk about doing like a presentation, and I read the thing and I can't remember. We didn't really talk about that tonight. Is that happening, or did we decide to leave that out and it's just going to the station?
I think we haven't finalized that. I wanted to try to do some media that would allow like the ongoing video of a couple minutes. We haven't nailed that yet. I want to make sure that before I promise that we have the time to put that together. It would be nice to have that online and present. Again, I haven't figured out how to pull that off logistically in the time we have. But I'm hoping that we do that. That would be the goal, to do that. Yeah. Easy for subtitles. Also, graphics, I think, are important. We talked about infographics. Those visualizations, I think, are really democratic. You don't have to read 35 pages of evaluation memo. Your lived experience and, you know, a picture hopefully translates the same. So I think that's part of the power of the graphic and the media package.
And Dustin, just to follow up on that, that's the graphics themselves. Those are both the infographics and the open house materials. Those are pieces that we're continuing to refine. And so that will be, you know, those are things that will be used for social media and others to help, you know, kind of spread the word on what, you know, on the event, as well as kind of the expectations for people who would be there. And so I think a key piece of that, and Dustin, as you mentioned, the Friday portion of the event is essentially designed to be somewhat of a happy hour or early dinner, and so that we can capture folks, you know, just after work or they're with their families. Often the hardest times for family members to come to meetings is at night, because they still have to get dinner for the kids or, you know, other family members. And so we're hoping to be able to kind of provide that opportunity so they can just do that there and then also see the event, you know, see the event and take part. So I think that's an important element that we need your help in starting to pull those vendors together and what that would start to look like. Because we have a big parking lot that we can park folks, or we can also figure out other ways to have people available, you know, to purchase food or drink.
And then Saturday morning being the complimentary piece of happy hour is brunch. That's this is really how we're theming our meeting here. But I think it really has to do with really being part of the community. And again, not turning this into a lecture, but turning this into a community building exercise as well.
I have to say, I think the Streets Alive event that was years ago with Denver was so successful. I have no idea what the expectational crowd anticipation was, but I'm sure it was exceeded. It was really high energy, generated a lot of ongoing, lasting, you know, conversations about. It brought us to here in a way. It brought a lot of information towards this place now, and so it also gave this coming event a leg up. But it's also a really high bar to hit, because I think that was a super successful event, and this being so close to unmasking now, and we're getting back together, potential for this to be really big is high, I think. So that's kind of exciting.
Well, we may need you for server, for food handling, and maybe security. I
got our security, them two guys right there.
One of the other roles for the Renewal Advisory Committee is you're essentially ambassadors to the community. And so, you know, one thing, as you know, Dustin said, you know, hopefully all of you are able to attend, you know, some or all of the events. It's really being able to talk to, you know, residents and businesses as they come in and help answer questions, or, you know, direct them to somebody who can. And it's, you know, you're a visible and vocal part of the community. And I think that's really powerful when you have people who, you know, live in the neighborhood, or, you know, have an attachment to the neighborhood, to be able to talk about what these options are, or what, you know, what this means and what the histories are. And we can certainly, in advance of those meetings, provide training for what that looks like. But we'll typically get all the facilitators or ambassadors together for 10 or 15 minutes before, just to help give you some direction on kind of how to do that, you know, and if you want that. So it's pretty fun, and it's a good way to, you know, have a slightly different role in an event as opposed to just kind of standing and observing.
And so
Yeah, that's it. I think I'm going to second that. It's you're, you know, authentically part of this community, and, you know, hopefully you remain approachable and help become that liaison between, you know, just real members of the community, and that, I think, is a huge role as an ambassador, to be a part and help people have their voices heard. I think that's critical.
and maybe building on that and kind of thinking about the kind of being able to answer people's questions. You know, we're starting to kind of think about what are those frequently asked questions that we can kind of get posted to the website. And I think one thing that would be super valuable to hear from folks on the committee is, you know, what are the questions you're getting from the community that are kind of reoccurring questions that people don't find the answers for, or that you feel you need the answers for, to help kind of all of us kind of make it successfully through this event. and there's kind of the basic kind of questions, what is the purpose of the streetscape plan? Who's responsible for the development of the plan, the kind of execution of it? Is, how is ODOT involved? Things like that. But what are some of the other things folks on the committee are hearing that we should be planning to kind of provide?
If you have them on the top of your head, take them now, or we can take notes. I think, I'll queue up is how much is it going to cost? When is it going to happen? Some of these basics that, that I think people may have the expectation that we're going to leave this meeting and next week the street closes and all the sidewalks get shut down. And, it's going to take some time. So I think for me, something we want to equip you all with was some questions that you may hear of, heard they're taking out all the parking, or they're taking out, you're not going to be able to drive a car here. It's all, who knows what it is. So I think some of those things that we want to equip you with, there's things that we can think of, but please, if there's things that your community or that you're hearing, or that you would like to be equipped with to make sure that you have good talking points, that's what we want from you.
Dustin, with the frequently asked questions that you're going to have, I hope you're going to send it out to the committee ahead of time, so we have a little bit of time to see what's on there, so we'll be able to answer questions and so forth when we're at the event.
Yes, or we'll give you a piece you can read, the script to read from. I think our anticipation is to equip you ahead of time so you're ready to go.
Well, at this point, Nathan, Alex, do you have any more? Or I should ask members of the committee if you have any questions for these gentlemen. Amanda?
No, I mean, and I plan to be there the whole time, both days or whatever I'm free. So I don't know if you're like wanting us to say that today, but that's a yes for me.
That's great.
I just had, as far as frequently asked questions, just the other day, we were talking about this event, and the question they had was like, but they don't actually have the money to do anything, right? Or, so maybe the timeline of the money and as long as part, going with the timeline of the project and the cost and all that. My one question was if you have an idea of when you're going to start advertising the events, like how far out, when can we expect to be able to start like having flyers to hand people, or should we start telling people now, or what, marketing or whatever?
Yeah, I think we have a communication package we're working on. We want to tighten that up and make sure that the dates that we're going to be advertising, so that you can echo those. So I can keep you sharing and we can build some momentum. We're going to get pretty close to starting this, but I think we really wanted to have a crescendo, weeks coming in. Memories are short, so I really want to hit make sure that the week before we really have the push to think about next weekend. So I know a lot of people can't think a month ahead. We're gonna start slow and then build to that. So I think Alex has shared a communication strategy with me, and that we work through our team, and we'll share that with you as well. And with some content to share. That's the other part, is share the content.
Yeah, just like announce it and tell everybody it's coming so that it's on their radar. You don't want to introduce it too late, because then it's like, oh, I'm going. Whatever.
Yeah, just some quick highlights on the communications plan. So for example, starting next week, we'll be updating the project website just to provide dates for the open house times. We're kind of, once we get the times locked down, we'll have there. So it'll be a whole save this time, save this date component, and then basically starting, so that'll be the first piece, and then starting really that first week of April, media release, and then a series of social posts, and that'll include postcard, other things similar to what we did last time, where we'll be able to have those out. So that gives us a good 4 weeks on the media communication side, with 3 weeks really focused with social each week leading up to that. And that's usually a pretty good approach, so that it gets to Dustin's point, people forget, but it also continues to remind people that they can get on their calendars early enough so that they save that time. So that's what Dustin was referring to in that communications plan, is that messaging is being established now, so that we can start to roll that out in a kind of coordinated fashion.
And the city newsletter that went out last week did mention the specific dates.
That's correct.
They could include times, but so an initial city notice has gone out about the dates and the upcoming event.
Hey, Abby, do you have any questions or comments?
Not at the moment. Thanks, Pat.
Okay, I just don't want to have people being left out. Josh, any questions or comments?
I think I think a question that'll be asked is, how much parking might be lost with each of these plans. In that case, we just direct people to the recent parking analysis.
That will be available. That's something that we're going to highlight. So that is one of the key things that we want to sort of post up there and be, clear on sort of the anticipated impact of parking. So the kind of numbers will be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And-
You should, okay.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
I think having you all equipped with a couple Reader's Digest versions though, okay, I wouldn't want you to have to recite a parking analysis. All right, generally between this and this, like we'll give you a range of that. I think that's important too, to have off the cuff remarks that are ready without having to, go through a dissertation. No, I think we have a pretty good opportunity. We want you to be equipped to be conversational. So I think that's something we could put in your hands.
Great. Yeah, and if, recommendation, they'd mentioned possible some, prepping up for the meeting 10, 15 minutes before the open house. That'd be something that could be available maybe the night before. I know there's a URAC meeting the night before. So that's something we could do then. I know I'm going to make it Friday night, I'm going to be racing from work, so I would miss that intro and
Sure.
some talking points possibly the night before.
Yeah, we could call in and just talk about it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward in terms of that, but yeah, I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with kind of roles and expectation and kind of responsibilities. But yeah, I'd be happy to do that meeting before.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good to me too. I think that'd be really helpful.
Do you got any questions?
No, but I'll third that would be really helpful to update ahead. And maybe even during the meeting, you can spend 5 or 10 minutes, like round robin and all, and chat about it. And our messages kind of consolidated.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. You gentlemen have anything else?
I think that's what we're here to. This is all hands on deck to get this meeting. Clint mentioned the bar has been set high. I hope again that this is an important project. I hope we can get the community to rally around it and really show up and be heard. I think that's the point. We can do all the technical analysis we want, but this is really an opportunity for the community once again at this phase to really lean into this project and let their voices be heard on it and really help the people who will be making these decisions really be informed on what the community is saying.
So if anything comes up with any of the committee members, just get the information to Dustin and he'll take care of it.
Yeah, I have the sense that it's not, oh, sorry.
We didn't want to listen to you anyway.
I'll just move my lips. It's not so much a sales agenda as an answer agenda to what's been happening all along. Like this is the culmination of a lot of careful thought and consideration, melding great ideas, and it's kind of exciting. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, certainly we're not looking for you to sell it. I don't think I'm not interested in that whatsoever. But I just need you to be equipped with some factual information to help you, again, answer questions that people are going to come with that they've either had unanswered. And I'm hoping, again, as a part of the community that you oftentimes are the best ones to deliver that and to create that conversation, that too.
Thank you, Dustin, Nathan, Alex, appreciate it.
I think we have
Abby's gonna.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we've just got a few weeks until this event happens. Are we going to review sort of all the materials that will be presented and how that's going to be organized prior to the event? Will that happen at the URAC meeting on that Thursday just before, or are we expecting materials prior to then?
I don't think we had an individual graphics expectation, but yeah, the meeting before everything should be done. So that would be a good opportunity to have to a roundup of almost like a special event and preview. Like we should have, we better have
We'll
everything
need-
completed by the day before. So you'll have I think that really kind of melds well with the opportunity to see, here's a FAQ sheet and here's the materials that you're going to be experiencing and that we want people to look at. Yeah, that URAC date would really be a good opportunity to go through that.
And I guess since we're not, like, we won't have input on or feedback on the process of developing those, so it would be, I'll just kind of echo what other people from the audience have said tonight. It'd be nice to like, just make sure they're as neutral as possible and
Mhm.
factual, and I agree with like not making it messy with like, this one got green and red and yellow, but with like comparing that after people have given their feedback or like preferences for whatever, kind of keeping it separate. So since this is our chance to say that, I just want to.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are gonna have a meeting then that Thursday before. Is that what you want to do, Dustin?
I expect that that's the last chance before we go live. So I was preparing my life to work around a meeting. So
Okay.
if you all
Or
are
did you
game,
need it before that?
no, I think that I was going to rely on the meeting the Thursday before.
Okay.
So
Okay. So that'll be on the 21st then. Got it. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Is there anything else you have before we go to the next item?
That's it. Looking forward to next month, and yeah, thanks for your time and your input on this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, next thing on the agenda is items from the members. Abby, do you have anything else? Okay, you're good. Josh?
I do not.
Okay. Amanda? No? Clint? No. Okay, well, I only got one thing. The reason Jack isn't here tonight is because he's protesting that there's no parking meters on the heights or in these designs. Okay, so I want that in the minutes, so. Well, seeing nothing else, do you gentlemen have anything else there in the audience? Appreciate you coming tonight. And that, if not, I'll move that we adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.
Thank you.